Hello, welcome to Orlando. Loud and proud Orlando here with Luis and Paola on a Monday night. Welcome back to preseason. We got a lot of questions, a new format, a new logo this year in 2024, and potentially a whole new lineup. We'll see what happens with tonight's show and where we end up and what we talk about. But the big question around who's going to play that number 10, is it going to be Faku being that big one, or are we going to get a number 10? But welcome to Luis. How are you doing, buddy?
Doing great, my friend. Good to see you, Paula, as well. Excited to start, this new format here in Loud and Proud Orlando, and excited with the new logo and just the new things that are coming to the pod. And day one of preseason, I'm excited.
And Paula, how about you? What's going on?
Excited, excited, excited. Like I have missed seeing the players in the training facility. They looked super enthusiastic and super happy. So it's kind of a short off season, but at the same time, it felt so long. So I'm happy and happy to be back with you and Luis.
I know, first day of training back. I feel like we're kind of first. It's not our first part of the year, but it's like Monday back. We're back. It's like everything's ramping up. New season, new pod, and new logo for us. So, Luis, if you don't mind, you bring up our logo on the screen. So,
Yeah.
the last week from last week's show, everyone has been voting, and we've had a total of 52 votes. So, thank you to everybody who voted for the new logo. You guys are awesome, and we appreciate your feedback. Uh, so the big winner we can reveal is logo one. A lot of you like that one. It's the one with the
Woo!
lion. So it got a 65% of the vote, and 12% of the vote went to logo two, and just 23% of the vote going to logo three. So logo one out and out the clear favorite. So Luis, I love this one. I think the lion is awesome. I think just overall the whole vibe, it gives is like powerful and strong. So I'm super excited. That's going to be our new logo, and I want your guys' thoughts. Luis, what do you think?
I think it's fantastic. I want to, thank Oz. He's the mastermind, behind all of this. Without him, this would not be possible. So I want to give him a big thank you. I think it's going to be great. I think it's a new start. I think it's going to be just, I'm just delighted of the support that has been pouring not only from Oz, but also from you, John and Paola, and also from all the people that have voted. So thank you so much. I think it's going to be great. And I look forward to this year.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's going to be a big year for us. We've got other things coming, but before that, Paula, you got anything different to say on the logo or
No,
anything
no, I'm
else?
super excited to see this in a merch or something. So I'm super happy about it. And like Luis said, thank you, Oz. You did a tremendous job. And I know that you have more stuff for us. So thank you so much.
I mean, I totally agree. It's gonna be pretty cool to see that on a t-shirt or a hat. So that's a little tease. We
I
haven't
want a,
quite
I
got
want
to
a
that
sticker
Right.
point
already.
yet, but we
Well,
literally just decided the logo. But next steps, is get that
yeah.
thing on a hat or a t-shirt. So if that's something you'd be interested in, drop a comment and let us know if you would want to buy one of our cool new logo tees or hats if we make them. So that'd be cool to do. Speaking of new things, another announcement for us. Tomorrow night will be the first Orlando Pride pod that we do. So we're still going to be a Loud and Proud Orlando, but we're going to call this one sort of like the City pod, the one for the Orlando City team, and then we're going to also have a Tuesday night, 7:30 as well, Luis, I believe. Orlando Pride pod. So I'm super excited about that. There's been so much happening in Pride this
Yeah.
off season, like insane amounts. So we desperately need to get the news out there, and we've been saying that we want to do a Pride pod. So, Luis, are you as excited as I am?
For sure. I mean, it was a long time coming. We try to, put this out last year, but there were a lot of changes within the lineup of Loud and Proud, but we weren't able to do it. Also for time constraints. But this year is definitely, I think it's gonna be a big year for the Pride. I think they're getting the right not only mindset, the culture's growing there, and the coaching staff is fantastic. The GM Haley, she's doing fantastic moves, and the players are all gung ho for Orlando. So I think it's going to be a big season, and so we definitely want to be part of that and being able to provide the best content possible for also Orlando Pride.
Well, you're totally right. That makes me think about off season. Haley has been cooking. That's the word I've been going for. They've been cooking,
Yep.
so we need to do some cooking of our own, Luis, and get this Pride Pod out tomorrow night. So join us for that. It would be awesome. Now on to news and rumors. So everybody's favorite part of the off season, news and rumors. So back at training today, that was the big piece of news. If you didn't see, it was kind of everywhere. So I'd be surprised if you didn't see anything on social media. But lots of good videos. Facu put a little cool video out. They had an interview here with Oscar. We also have an interview with Jansen. Just generally, it's nice to see the boys, back out together, dapping up the camera, hanging out. A little bit of camaraderie. You saw Nico out there. I was like, "Ooh, yeah, look at them go." First day back, shaking off those cobwebs. It fills with excitement. You guys excited about this season? I mean, I am. I think different from other seasons, we've got a lot of the core together, so they can kind of just start straight away, which I don't know if you think that'll make a difference or not. Paula, what do you think on that?
I was thinking the same thing before I joined the pod this episode. I was like, there's not a lot of people who are new separately from the draftees and Nico, but the core, like you said, is the same. So we wouldn't have the problem per se that we had last year, in the beginning of the season, that they were trying to figure out things and blah blah blah. We have other issues this season, that is figuring out who's gonna play number 10, that you already told us in the beginning of the pod. But at the same time, I said the same thing. We shouldn't have any problems on the connectivity and the following the idea that Oscar Pareja has for the team. So it should be an easy transition from us from 2023 to 2024. So let's see what happens, but hopefully it's an easy transaction. Let me tell you something. When I saw Nico on Orlando City shirt today, it felt weird, but at the same time, oh boy, please be a troublemaker for other teams. So let's see what happens. I'm excited to see him in purple.
That was a
Yeah.
cool moment. Luis, did you get some chills when you saw for me, I was like, I'm always amazed that he's playing for us because he's a guy who's been so massive in the league. So like I was like Paula to see him today coming out in the gear. I was like, oh, it's real now.
Yeah, first and foremost, the footage for all the training of today will be up on our YouTube, and probably after the show. But I do want to say that I'm excited to see Fabian Loyola walk in and training with everybody. I think that's going to be an extra added depth that we're not looking at. I feel like Ojeda right now. I think Mike Ramajo. I want to say hello to Mike. Mike, he said that Ojeda hasn't arrived yet because he's still figuring out some paperwork in Argentina. It's just immigration jargon, I'm sure. And it's tedious because you have to deal with government and, they're always kind of slow. You know what happened to Antonio Carlos too, a couple of, I think a year or two ago, the same situation. Another thing that I really liked was that a lot of OCB players were there. Thomas Williams was there. I know Abdi Salim was there. And their coach was there too. Martin Perelman was there. So, I thought that is kind of in a way putting OCB and Orlando City mano a mano, hand in hand. So OCB is going to be huge for Orlando this year, I think, when it comes to, hey, maybe we may be with a nagging injury. Hey, here we got Abdi Salim ready. You know what I mean? So having them do these drills in preseason, I think is just going to make both squads stronger. And so I'm excited about that too, John.
I think that's something that Oscar has done in the past, right? I know I've seen it done when Adrian was a coach years ago, where they bring the U23s or now the OCB, and the first team together preseason and kind of have them do some training. And I, like you, was happy to see Fabian in with the first team, but I don't know if they're mixing everybody or we know very little about the OCB roster. So it's hard to say if they threw the OCB guys in with them just because it's preseason and they want to train all together because maybe the OCB squad hasn't really come back yet. Who knows? Like maybe we're seeing guys like Abdi Salim. Maybe that's, maybe hopefully then that means that he's going to have more minutes. Like I'm worried about our depth at center back. So if Abdi's training with the first team, maybe he's going to get some minutes with the first team. That would be nice. So it's good to see the young guys in there. And just in general, great to see the guys back training. So let's move on to our first piece of sort of news or rumor. It's more of a news, this one, but Duncan, as everybody knows, has been with USA doing training camp, and he gave out some really good interviews in the past week and did some photos as well of him just, generally enjoying US training camp and doing well overall there. He's got a lot of potential, and, what would you call it, Luis, this roster? Obviously, it's not a roster full of stars. It's sort of the USA roster, with more young prospects in there for this tournament. So it's nice to see guys like Duncan getting a shot, and maybe if he does well with the US national team now, that will get into more. But how have you enjoyed seeing Duncan this week with the red, white, and blue on?
No, fantastic. I mean, it's definitely some added. It's fantastic that he's amongst some of the best players in the country. Also players that are making a difference abroad. You have a lot of the young guys playing in Europe. So I think he's getting that spending time with those guys that are probably telling him, hey, this is what I did when I was in your position at some point, kind of guiding him and coaching him. I think this is great. Also, eventually he's going to be amongst the best with Christian Pulisic, who is making a huge impact in Italy, in a huge team like AC Milan. So I think the sky's the limit for Duncan, and I'm just very excited for what's coming for him. And I think he truly deserved it. He was the best striker in our team.
I mean, I'd say he's up there right now with guys like Cade Cowell in the squad, Aidan Morris. You've got obviously John Tolkien. These are young stars like Miles Robinson in MLS, guys that have done very well. It's a very MLS heavy roster. And obviously, like it's kind of training wheels with this national team roster to hopefully get him some minutes with guys like McKennie, etc. Right? Like that's the aim. Paula, what do you think on Duncan, and do you think he has a good shot of making this final roster of this tournament?
Well, I won't say he can make it to the final roster. Hopefully he can, right? We have seen him coming from college and develop himself super quickly adaptable to the league and super successful. And I'm not afraid that he's not going to do it with the USA team. He done it already in Colorado last year when he was called up. So I'm not gonna be surprised if he succeed, like in a good way. I'm not gonna be surprised in a good way because everybody has expectations already for Duncan. So I think he's going to succeed. I want him to succeed 100%, but at the same time, I'm afraid that he's gonna leave soon for Europe if he, accomplish all those goals. But we cannot be selfish. We can be proud that he was a draftee from us, and he's young. Like the sky is the limit for him. So he needs to be a little sponge. Go ahead, Luis.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
if he goes to the Olympic roster, you bet your money his price tag is going to skyrocket. It's great. We have to see it in a way, not seeing, oh my God, our striker's leaving. No, we got to see it as this is a player that we drafted, and by him going into the Olympics, not only he's representing our country, but he's representing. This is great for him as an athlete, and this is great for actually our Orlando itself as a organization, and also great money because Orlando's going to make money. Because you bet your butt that he's going to go to either a mid-table Premier League club for sure. I mean, if he makes it to the Olympics.
I think that's what I would say is it definitely puts him in the shop window.
Yeah.
I would also say that this group of forwards that he's up against, I would put him as not even biasly. I think he's the best forward, like out and out number 9 they have on this provincial roster of guys. So the first friendly that they've got is the 20th of January. So just 5 days from now against Slovenia. So we'll see if, the camp ends tomorrow, the 16th. So we'll know within the next few days whether Duncan makes that final roster. I'm with Paula. I reckon there's a good chance we're going to be able to watch him in that friendly.
Yeah.
It should be awesome. So I can't wait for that. And best of luck to Duncan. Just don't go anywhere yet, buddy. All right, moving on to the next section. Someone who has moved on from us, sadly to say, is Luca Petrasso. He has gone on loan, as we previously reported, to, and I'm going to mess this name up. I want to say Trieste. I don't know. I lost it. I lost my page.
Triestina.
So Serie C side. And I think it's great for him. It's like a level that he's going to be able to excel at, I think, and like be a top level player in that league and maybe, push with them and get them promoted or something. But with a possible loan to buy, I think that might be the last we've seen of Luca. But he looks very Italian. He looks very at home in this setting. So like I'm happy for him.
He doesn't look happy, in my opinion.
Luis, you're happy for Luca.
I'm gonna say the exact same thing that Luis. He doesn't seem so thrilled to be there, but who knows, right?
I have a feeling he has an allergy to dust because those chairs behind. Come on, bro. It's called a cloth and some water.
Or power watch.
They're that's a dated stadium, They just got really, really pink. They were red and white chairs, and now they're just pink and white chairs.
Yeah, going from the beautiful chairs at Explorer Stadium, all taken care of, to go in there,
Power watch is weak.
It's the path that he's taking. It's a different way of viewing his career. Maybe he has ulterior motives. Maybe he loves Italy and he wants to learn the language. I think he has Italian heritage in him. So, maybe he wants to, kind of grow into that, and maybe thinking that, hey, I'm just going to go and try to make it there. And the Italian league is a up and coming European league right now, going back to what it used to be. So let's see what happens with Luca Petrasso. Wish him the best of luck. Forever a Lion. #.
Well, according to Transfermarkt, quickly before I let Paula give us her thoughts, he has gone up in market value to 800K, and we've loaned him. So I think we're probably getting about 300K. Originally, we bought him for about 400K, so it's sort of around the same value. We haven't really lost anything with Luca. We had him for a year. He was good at times. I just think it didn't really work out with his injury and the fact that Rafa just got so good, and he's the kind of guy who needs to play minutes now. So this makes sense for him. We're happy to let him go. Paula, what are your thoughts?
I said it last week. Like this could be the best thing that happened to him. Like we didn't use him as probably he was thinking that we were gonna use him, and I prefer him to be loaned and use that. And he's young. He's gonna learn and develop a lot in the Italian side. So I wish him the best on this journey. So
best of luck to Luca. Okay, on to a very exciting piece of news. Something that we already knew basically was coming as well. It had been hinted by lots of different people, lots of outlets. And again, feeds back into our main theme we're going to talk about later on the show is Facu Torres signs again for a big contract this time, 3 years with a contract, I believe, transfer.
Yeah, is a guaranteed contract
in there. A guarantee, basically, if it gets to meet a clause, essentially, a release clause fee. I don't know exactly what that is. Maybe we'll know soon. But that's important part of detail there, because what that means is it sets us up well if European clubs, which they have been, come in. I mean that we can say no, we're going to reject, and if he complains, we say, well, there's a release clause, so if they meet that, then everybody's happy. It just sets us up well for the future with Facu, but it also makes me feel, Luis, like we've really put in our eggs in the Facu basket, as it were. So, Paul, what are your thoughts? You know Facu well and his feelings on lots of things, and what do you think he feels about this new contract? Is he excited, or do you think he's still looking for that European move away?
It's kind of a half and half, right? I think he still wants to go to Europe, and this new contract doesn't mean that he could go. It could be, right? We don't know when it's gonna happen. It's not gonna happen in this winter for sure. It all depends on his performance in the beginning of the season. If he wants to leave in the winter, and not in the winter, sorry, in the summer, in the summer window, right? So I think if he wouldn't be happy to be here in Orlando, he wouldn't sign a new contract extension with a big clause. We don't know, and I think this number, you haven't talked about the number yet, but we all know that he changed his number to number 10. This is gonna help him get more eyes into his play this year, because I think, and you guys can correct me, but when a player wears a number 10 in the team, is important to us, right? It's one of the numbers that is super, super important to the team. So I think more eyes is gonna be on him because of that number, and hopefully he can get that European dream. I know that every player has that European dream, and hopefully not soon, because I'm selfish. I want this team to stick together until they perform an MLS Cup. But if the times come, wish him well. But I'm excited for him. I think he's happy. I saw the couple of interviews that he had this morning, and he seemed super happy to be here. So I'm calm in that part.
Luis, before we go to you, so the contract is guaranteed through
Yeah.
2026 with club options for 27 and 28. So
Mhm.
it could be basically a 4-year contract. I don't know if we're gonna have Facu. I think if he goes the right trajectory, he would hope that he wouldn't be here for those full 4 years.
Of course.
But either way, it locks down our best player for the next 4 years. How do you feel about this big news that we got
No,
on
it's
January 10th?
it's great. It's great piece of news. It was bound to happen. I mean, there was no way, he was going to go to some rinky-dink club, in Europe, and you just go there and do the Chris Mueller. I'm happy that he stayed. I think that type of contract is a kind of Orlando City is kind of, taking care of business in a way that if a club wants them, there's going to be a release clause for sure. So the club's going to get some money if he goes. Now, I think that if his target is Europe, which I believe he does have the the pedigree to do so, he needs to score more goals. He needs to score more assists in the MLS. He needs to be that the best player in our team, that game changer. And not only that, but also he needs to do the same in his national team. He needs to get noticed by Bielsa, and I feel he can do it. Like Paulo was saying, with great power comes with great responsibility. He's gonna have the number 10, and that's a huge number. And Kaká had that number before, so I mean, you gotta have a better season than 2023. That's for sure. If
That's
he
for
wants to make it
sure.
to Europe.
So he's currently valued at 14 million
It's not bad.
on transfer marks. What do we reckon, or what do we think? Reckon, that's a very English term for you. What do we think the amount is on that release clause that we've installed in this new contract? I'm gonna say 20 million. Right, would be a good release clause number for us. Like if someone pays 20 million, it's probably going to be enough for us to let him go.
Yeah.
Would you say that's about right, or would you want more? do you think if he develops the right way, he could be worth more than that? Or if he doesn't, then, it might not be that much. Who knows?
It's like the more goals and assists he does, and the more impact he has in the MLS. It's like a house. It's like you get your escrow. Your escrow is going to grow. So he's
Paula,
really,
what do you think that number might be?
I'm with you. 20 minutes is fair, but it could be more. I wish we can get more out of him, but I think
Like
it will
if
be
we
a
sold him for
record.
like 25 million or something, we've only bought him for 6 million. So
yeah.
that's good business for us, right? This is the reason I talk about this is because he's the first kind of model of what we're doing with the South Americans buying, young South Americans. Like Enrique, maybe in the future could be sold for money. Like maybe Angulo, if he miraculously becomes really, really good, could be sold for money. Like there are players like Cesar is another one. So Facu is the first one of that model, and he's potentially our first sort of big sale that hasn't come a guy that we got from the draft. So it's interesting to see what we think that might be, and if it happens, I'm really hoping that Facu can step it up, like you said, this year, Luis. So on to our next topic in rumors and news before we go on to talk more about Facu. Viking, the club that we talked about on the last podcast, they have decided that they want a bit more money for the center back that we had. His name was David Recalo, that we apparently put a bid in for him. It was rumored to be around the 1.7 million euro range, I believe, and that was not enough for Viking. So they are apparently want more around the 3 million range, and this is all again just what's being reported. We're not willing to meet that, so either this is kind of the end of the road on that one for us, or we're going to have to, pay a little bit more money, and that's going to be a problem for us if we want to keep him under the TAM amount. So I think he was the right kind of player. Whether or not we've given up remains to be seen. Luis, do you think this is somebody we should go in for? Like, we can't really make him a DP, so it's a case of we can keep trying to get our fee. He apparently wants to come. What are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I mean, the player is keen to come. That's what the reports are from Norway. And I will have to say, he's the best player in his squad. So that's why the club there, it's playing hard to get. I mean, not
Their
only
star man.
he has a song. He has a
Really?
song. And I'm gonna play a little bit of it today. He has a song. He has a
Luis, he has
song.
a song. This is cool.
He has a song. Like, he's huge there. He's the best player in the team.
So
Like
that's why they're needy then.
yeah, that's why they are like, definitely very gung ho with this kid. He has a song. He has a song. I don't know if I can find it. I have to find it, but it's called like the Vikings Viking or something like that. It's like David Bercalo, like that. There's like a chant. He has a chant.
I've
Or
also
the
seen
next
that
pod.
apparently there's a League One French club
Yeah.
that is also in for him. So we're competing against them for this bid. I've seen several. There's a guy who has a Twitter account called David Bercalo Fans. And I don't know if his stuff is correct.
But
he's
I mean, but
obviously a
he's
big
huge.
fan.
And look, he is the type of player Orlando City would sign. Like he's the best player in his team in a position that we truly need. Somebody that is ready to assimilate in the MLS because he speaks English very well. He speaks more English than anything else, and I think he'll mesh really well with the back line. With Robin. So it's a plug and play, which is what Orlando's been doing. But then again, if we're not ready to offer, I'm not ready to offer more than what the club wanted. If you ask me, I wouldn't do it.
Well, I think he's worth what we've offered.
Yeah,
They're just they just
agree.
Being a little greedy, and I think also they're like they don't. It's offered apparently from us was 1.7 mil, like and they're looking for like a lot more than that.
Yeah.
Here's the thing: you can, he could force a move,
right?
So that could happen, but it depends. Maybe we'll go back later in the month. Paula, what do you think on this one?
I mean, I agree. I wouldn't go more than 1.4. They're being needy because they know that that's their best player and they can get more money out of it. Um, I have a little bit of a concern of that about that player because he haven't played since October because of some of the he had a growing injury. It doesn't mean like he wouldn't be a great fit. It's just a concern. But I wish a deal will be coming through. I have seen the front office do a little bit of magic and bringing this type of player. So I don't know what could happen. I think probably Moreira and Musi will convince them to take the deal, and we can get that player. They're just being needy because they know this is their top player and they want to get the most money out of it. So
Yeah, this will be a diamond in the rough for the MLS too. I mean, he's a great center back. He has a lot of eye for goal, great positioning in the back line. So I
I
think it'd be
think it would
a great
be
addition.
a big get for us. Um,
Yeah,
but he needs to be a cheap get. He's
correct.
not going to fit in our squad if he's not under a certain amount of wages, and if we don't, we can't pay insane amount of money for him. So that's just the way it is. We need to make it work for us. We'll
Look, here's
see.
a song.
Sometimes if it's like injury and they want too much money, sometimes that's enough for us to walk away. I think that Luis
touche.
and Ricardo are smart enough to know
Yeah,
when
for sure.
a deal doesn't suit us, and we're not gonna pay over the odds for a guy that potentially could be injured. And I agree, Paula. There is obviously some concern around coming back from surgery, etc. So we'll see what develops further on David Bracala. But for now, it's a stalemate on that one. Right. On to our next section. Basically, now we are going to talk about the main topic of the evening, which we've already discussed several times, and that's who plays the 10. So there's a quote. It's not really a quote. It's more exactly what Mike put as a summary of what Oscar said. That Oscar says team is open-minded on where Facu Torres will play this season, either wings or middle, and that was from Mike Ramalho's Twitter. So that just kind of raised some eyebrows for us again with what we've already been saying. Facu, is he going to play on the right wing cutting in, or is he going to be that main number 10 guy? Luis, let's start with you and your thoughts on this and what you think the plan is if you're Oscar and Luis. Not what you want to see, but what you think they're planning.
Well, I mean, honestly, I feel like they're going to maintain the status quo of last season. I think they're going to just have him fill the 10 role, but also in some games we're going to see him transition. So I'm going to give kudos to Ben Wright. He made this chart right here. And as you can see here, Facu Torres, it's a right winger, but he could play all three attacking positions right before, all four positions here. So, but now he's our 10. Now, Nico Lodeiro could also play, in these two positions, right wing and number 10. So they're placing them right there too. So I feel the club, I think depending on how preseason goes, I think he's going to start on the 10. And then, with Nico, they're going to try to find a relationship. I guarantee you Nico's going to be we're going to see him in the 10 position in some games also. And also maybe sometimes we'll see him on the right wing. So I just think Oscar is not seeing it as you're going to be now the number 10 and then you're going to be staying there. So I think Oscar, what he wants to do is have that, how Angulo, Ojeda, and Facu, when they were starters, they will do the switcheroo in transition. I think that's what he's going to end up doing either way in games. So I think that's what he meant when he said there's really no, even though he's a number 10, he might not play the 10. He might play the wing too. He can play in any position that I ask him to. I think it's because he has polyfunctionality or dual functionality Facu has. So, I see him switching around positions this season. Now, do we need another attacking midfielder? I agree wholeheartedly. but that's not for me to decide, unfortunately. I don't see the club getting another attacking midfielder.
So I agree. I think there's a certain amount of flexibility with the way that you play. And that I think it could be the case that we use Nico as that 10 most of the time.
Mm-hmm.
And then just whenever Nico's not available, you put in Facu or Ojeda there. That's one scenario. The other scenario, which I think a lot of evidence points to at the moment, is like we discussed, that it's going to be Facu as the main guy in the 10. It depends on whether you see Nico as a starter or not. I think that's the thing. But I would say this: if we're going to start moving everybody around a lot, there was confusion when we did that last year with Facu and Ojeda about whose role was whose and who was doing what and who was the creator and who was the guy who's the winger. I'm not saying they can't do it, but I think it creates a certain amount of confusion. Like, unless these guys are really incredibly well bonded and clicking really well up top and know exactly what the other person's going to do, I think it doesn't always work. In some ways, we were better last year when Mauricio was in that role and running the team and everybody knew what to do around him. When he was fit, when he was tired, it didn't work because he was tired. But when he was fit, it works. So is the plan to make Nico that new guy? Or is the plan to make Facu that new guy? Or is the plan to rotate everybody around so whoever plays the 10 that day is the creating guy in the middle in that position? Do you see it similar, Paula, or do you think it's none of those scenarios? What do you think is most likely?
I agree. I share the same sentiments that Luis said. I think we won't have a solid answer after 10 games into the season, and this is including preseason. And remember, we have a lot of games this season, more than last year, if I'm not mistaken. So we can see different scenarios in the beginning, and then whatever works for the team, that's will be the formula for the rest of the season. We saw it last season in the beginning as well, and it was a little bit more rustier last season because we had Ojeda playing the first time. We had Enrique. We had a couple of people new to the team. Now, you said it in the beginning, we have the same core, just one or two players that are new. And hopefully the draftees from this season that they picked up worked enough for them to plug and play, like Luis says, and use them in our advantage, because we have seen, perfect example, Jacqueline, draftee. We haven't seen a lot. We have seen a couple of minutes of him. A success, Duncan. So hopefully from this group of this season, they can just plug and play in the Oscar Pareja system, and we don't have a lot of problems. But like I said, I think that a solid answer, John, for that question is the same as mine. We have to wait until a couple of games into the season, and then we can come back and discuss in the pod. We were right. This was gonna happen. This is the formula that Oscar Pareja is gonna work along the rest of the season.
Everybody out on Twitter.
Well, I think also it's the evidence right now points to Facu being the 10.
Absolutely, and I can
putting the big contract, him getting the number 10.
Yeah.
So
I think, and
that's
this and that is more. It could be more exposure too for the European clubs, because they're offering big contract. He has the number 10. He's gonna play the number 10, but at the same time, he can switch with Ojeda, because Ojeda, we saw it last season. So it could be a couple of scenarios. So let's see how it plays. I wanna have this conversation again in a couple of games in to see what Oscar Pareja is cooking for the team.
Yeah,
I do agree with you though that Luis. 1 second, I think you're right that the fact that they've all been bonded together for a season and now you're going to preseason, that does help the ever-changing idea that you can rotate whoever plays those 3 attacking mid positions. I agree with that. Luis, what were you going to say?
No, I mean, he's played the 10 before, so He's no stranger. His best season in Peñarol was playing on the 10. It's just that, if he wants to be this is the year, this is the season in which you have to understand, if he becomes a difference maker, you have a lot of factors to consider. It's Messi's year. And if he becomes the best player in Orlando City wearing the number 10 with high assist, he goes to the MLS. He needs to go to the MLS All-Star game, for example. All those movements, the first step is, okay, he got the jersey now. Okay, you got the 10 now. Now you got to prove. Now you got to do it. He's going to get the chance. I hope he obviously takes advantage of it, and excels. I have no doubt he'll do it. I mean, he's done it, but I mean, you have to understand he only uses one foot.
I think the model for Facu is Almada.
Yeah.
Right? That's the thing. He
Absolutely.
can go for, like, Almada's gonna, in this window, we're gonna see Almada go for like 25, 30 plus million, I think.
Yeah.
To Europe. One of these
Atletico Madrid is already
that's
in.
what
Yeah,
it is, right?
Atletico Madrid is
I
really close.
I saw something. So he's gonna go Atletico, I think, for 30 mil, maybe less, maybe more. So that's the model for Facu. But the difference is right now, Facu is not Almada standard. He's not, like, honestly.
I agree, 100%.
So he's got to get up, like, and I agree. If we are going down that route of, like, making him the guy, he's got to step up and he's got to produce more. But maybe he's ready for that challenge, and maybe that's just like last year. We saw Oscar change his style and really, ramp things up and be more attacking. Maybe this year we can see Facu be the number 10.
Yeah.
Maybe that's what we're going to see. And I would love to see that, because it'd be awesome to have a team that, runs around Facu being the dude, because he can be that guy. We've seen when he can, but he just needs to do it successfully, and he needs to do it consistently. That's the big thing.
Like, right. I mean, the ball is in his court, right? It's all on him for this season. So let's see what happens. Hopefully he will break every record. So
when you ask Atlanta United fans, who's your best player? They don't even hesitate. Thiago Almada. When you ask an Orlando City fan, who's your best player? He's gonna be like, well, it's maybe Duncan, or maybe is a Facu, or maybe it's Angulo. So they're gonna, like, that's the thing. We need
that will be a great
be like Facundo Torres. That's it.
Nico, if you're listening to this, just teach Facu how to do this thing.
Yes,
right? I know you can, and I know he can. So let's make it happen, boys.
With him, please.
Exactly. Jedi this kid. All right. Moving on to our next thing. We are going to talk about what other positions we desperately need to sign. One of them we already talked about, and I think everybody can see is a glaring hole in the back line, is the right center back position. Brecalo is definitely the kind of player I would like. So I think that's what we're going to go for. It needs to be a sort of TAM level player, someone who's not going to be a DP for sure, but also someone that's young and strong and quick and is comfortable on the ball. It's not an easy center back to find. It's a modern day center back that can do a bit of everything. Let's see if we can hopefully find one of those. What other positions, Luis, do you think we still need to work on for this roster?
I feel we need like I said, I think we need somebody that could play left back and right back. Maybe somebody that could dominate both sides, because Rafa Santos, we're pretty much going with Rafa Santos gung ho. And then now we don't have nobody behind him. I know that.
What
Kyle
do you mean, man? Kyle Smith.
I know we got Kyle, but Kyle could play.
No, he's not.
We need to stop relying on Kyle too. You know what I mean? Like, we need a little bit of more depth there, and somebody that maybe could use either side. It would be great, because now we got Dagger on the right. We got Kyle that could play both sides. We have Rafa, so now you increase your depth. And then now another thing is, a lot of people are saying, hey, Mikey Holiday, Mikey Holiday. We have not seen Mikey Holiday yet. We need to first see Mikey Holiday, what he can do. I would not remove Dagger Dan out of his position as a right back, starting position. I think he needs to stay there for now. And then I think Mikey needs to kind of prove himself a little better. We'll see what he can do. But I think we need a center back, a left back, and maybe an attacking midfielder. And now,
So on the left back quickly, I'll say this: Santos is very different from than you put Smith there. I
Mhm.
think Smith doesn't have Santos is a full out and out left-footed left wing back who's going to be able to get up and put crosses. When we put Smith there, it's different, right? And that's similar when we put Mikey Halliday on the right back position. He's very like a full right wing back attacking. He doesn't cut inside. He goes all the way up the right wing. Something that we missed when he wasn't there because Facu and Kyle both tend to, sorry, not Facu, Dagger Dahan and Kyle tend to cut inside more. So it's different kind of fullbacks, but definitely a full left-footed left back is needed because right now, like you said, we only have Rafa. Paula, what do you think about other positions? So we got center back, we got left back. Do you think like a center mid, a center attacking mid, or a striker? What would you go? And I would
I
say this
will
because
go.
I don't know how many signings we're able to make with how full our roster is and how much we have left on the budget. So
I will
we might
go
have to prioritize.
for a striker. Like we need a veteran striker probably because I know Duncan 100% he's gonna do his job for the season. Enrique as well, but they're too young. I want a veteran striker that will be productive for us. Let me say that because we have seen in this squad before veteran strikers, they're not as productive as we imagine. I don't want that. I want productivity. I want an impact for these young players to learn from this veteran striker for the squad. So I don't know neither how much the budget that we have left, like the cap that we have. Hopefully we can do some magic. So let's see.
I would almost say that we should probably take that young DP slot we have left. If we're going down the Faco is the 10 route, right? And everyone's agreeing that, or Nico is, saying we're not buying a 10, right? Another one, let's say, like we were expecting. Then you take that young DP slot. Do you use it on a center back or do you use it on the striker? What do you think, Paula?
That's a good question. I will use it as in a striker. I'm an offensive player. Mindset it. Like we have a couple
We
of
were missing goals last year.
yeah, like we were missing that, and we have a couple of options in the bench for center back that we haven't had the chance to, like OCB players. It could be their year. We don't know. Like there's a lot of questions and less answers for that position, but we can get a striker. I want a young striker then if we're gonna use that slot for that.
Luis, what about you? Young DP, would you go? Like, it's not going to be left back, obviously, because we got Santos. That would be it's as first team positions go. It's either going to be a striker
I think
or the center back. So, which
I
one?
think either way you do it, either way you take it, it's gonna take away out of the time of an OCB player. Because if you get a young striker that's a beast, or it's a small little Zimba cub lion turning into a huge lion, right? Like a Mufasa type, right? Obviously, it's gonna take time out of Jacqueline, minutes out of Jacqueline, probably minutes out of Ramiro Enrique. Oscar's gonna have to figure out, okay, now Enrique, you're officially a winger now, right? So, and then if you get a young DP center back, that's also a pretty good one, maybe from South America, somebody up and coming. That's gonna take time out of Abdi Salim, out of Thomas Williams, So either move you make, it's gonna take time. So what would I would do? What makes more sense at this point is, I mean, what's gonna pay us more at some point if that DP works? The center back position is going to pay us more, or the striker position is going to pay us more? I think it's going to be the striker position. So I will go maybe for a young striker that it's going to, I mean, because right now, if you look at it, Duncan is the only big guy there. We have two short guys, which is Jack. I mean, I'm not trying to sound really offensive, but I mean, short, I mean, like, they're a little smaller than Duncan. So they're not pivots. They're more of like second strikers, right? Almost wingers,
Or I
like
think
Jack
Jacqueline
Lynn.
can play the 9 like full out and out.
Right.
I think Enrique definitely, I agree, is
Yeah.
not a
Right.
full 9 like the way
Right.
we want to play. Like he's more of a winger, really, who cuts inside, I think.
Yeah, like if you go and play Nashville with Zimmerman, you're not gonna and you and you do a cross to Enrique. Come on, man, and you got Zimmerman right
I
behind him. I
think
mean, he's
it's a
gonna win
different. We
it.
have to play differently if you put Enrique up
Right.
there. Like it's a different
Right.
type of system. It's more like a false 9 or someone who's playing, balls in over the top. It's not. You can't play him like balls in the air. You can't
I
put
mean,
big
he
whipping
can jump,
crosses in.
but that's it.
You can, but it's
Plus,
just different. So I agree with you. I think that there's an issue there with striker, especially if Duncan's going to go in the summer, which could happen, right? The summer bids will only get bigger. We lacked goals last year, so
yeah,
maybe that's the case.
yeah. I mean, we
Maybe
did.
Jack Lynn can step it up, right? I think that's what the question. I agree is where can we fill holes with guys from OCB and also these draftees that we don't know whether they're going to sign with us yet or not. We'll see whether they're going to be in training or not. Like it's always a question mark. Are they going to be OCB players? Do they have enough skill to be in the first team? Like last year, we thought Shaq Mohammed was going to play a part.
Yeah,
And we haven't really seen much of Shaq Mohammed at all, like nowhere near the first team. So
plus,
we'll see.
You could get a good. I mean, obviously, he's not going to be the center back that you want, but you remember that Argentinian guy that came that was a left back that played only for one season and he did really good. I forgot his name. He played in Boca Juniors. I think you remember. Paul.
Oh, yes.
You know what I'm talking about, right?
Yes, I know.
He played for one season.
Man.
Aya?
Yes.
Huh?
No. It's
No,
not.
it was not Ayas.
Not
Come
Ayas.
on, man. No, come
No,
on.
no,
I
no.
was like, come on.
Ayas. No,
I
it
don't
was
remember.
Emilio. I forgot his name, but anyways, he came here for a season. He was like 32, 33. He did his job. He did really well, and we made the playoffs. And then the year later, he went back to Argentina as a free agent. No harm done, whatever. We could get a center back like that. Right now, for example, there's 32, 33, even 34-year-old center backs, which is not a bad age for a center back. If you really want to be honest, from South America, that's healthy.
I think they just got to have enough legs.
There's like
Jansen is, on
yeah,
the
there
borderline.
are like 200, 300K. You know what I mean? Like that worth. Like I think there's a lot of opportunities there.
I mean, I think this front office can go out and find some bargains. That's what I would say. Is I would preach some patience to everybody. Like I know it hasn't been as exciting as a window as we all thought. Like it's
we
not
kept our core,
but we honestly, that's like sometimes you just got to do the boring. Like it seems boring, but it's important stuff. Like we've retained so much of the squad. We've retained Oscar. Like I expect that we're gonna get announcement at some point about Luis and Ricardo. Like we're all just acting like they're going to be here, so I assume they were going to be here. And I think that signing Facu to a big deal. Obviously, Nico in was a great bit of business. Now let's go out and find like the Dagger Dans, right? That's
right.
where
I got the
we
name.
will thrive. Find some Euro gems that are gonna, it's just South American gems that are cheap. What's the name?
Emmanuel Mas.
Yeah, Emmanuel Mas.
There you go.
I remember him.
He wasn't that bad.
Hey, he
wasn't bad.
He was a great center back at one point.
I thought that he was gonna stay for.
So
to be
I'm
honest.
talking about, right now there is a guy who playing Boca Juniors too, Zambrano. He's a free agent. He's 34, but he has a lot of wear and thread. He still has some left in, a little bit left in the tank. And then you get your young DP, get a striker that's going to give Duncan more competition. And then,
I think we're definitely going to see that. I could see that as a striker role. Like, let's go find a 32, 34-year-old striker who can do that, because I think that's where the value. Like, it's center back. I almost, because we've got Jansen, want to go. I would go guy. Take that young DP slot, spend it on a center back to solve some of our center back issues, and then go find yourself an aging
Right.
ex-European who wants to, come out and do another couple years and could find
Just
the
not
back of the net.
Benteke
Like,
or Lucas
yeah,
Moura, please.
like a sort of Benzema, but not Benzema,
Oh.
that sort of guy. Someone who's that quality, But we're going to draw to the end of the show here, guys. I'm quickly going to go to the comments. Joshua Tall said, do you think OC should get a striker since Duncan just gets called up to the Olympics and if Enrique gets called up? Yeah, I think we just talked about that one. So
That's a great question for a recent combo. So there you go.
We have an interest, exactly. And hopefully a center back. Yes. Also that. We talked about that already. On to Joshua Tall's another comment. Oh, I know who you were talking about, but I don't remember his name. Don't worry, because Lucas has found him.
Yeah,
Luis, you were trying to think of left back Emmanuel Mas. Guys, we got to all of this eventually. We got there. So
yeah,
thank you.
Emmanuel Mas. And
we appreciate your comments.
Yeah, he played Copa Libertadores. He did really well. Like,
he's decent.
Someone like that, why not?
I think we go find some gems, Luis, and that's the thing. It's guys that we've never heard of. That's what I'd never heard of Dagger Dan, but now I love the guy, right? So
speaking of Dagger Dan,
we've never heard of Rafa Santos, and now we love the guy, right? So let's go. Lucas says, I like the way that we're thinking about another striker to help support Maguire. Yes, definitely. Yeah. Kai Kamara would be great. Kai Kamara is the type of guy, Lucas, but I can't with Kai Kamara. Like, honestly, the guy has been everywhere, and like he's just not hitting it like he used to. So I think that one is a little bit too spent, but one kind of like a Corey Burke kind of deal. Like he's just gone off somewhere else, but there's those kind of strikers around MLS, or even, from Europe, like an ex-European 32, 34-year-old would be ideal, I think, just to come in and, like we said, if we're going to lose Duncan, we also are going to need somebody else to slot in if that happens. So I think, guys, that brings us to the end of the show. Thank you very much. I want to say, go ahead and like us on social media. So go look at us on Instagram, Twitter. Also follow Paula on Tierra de Esquina. She's on Twitter and Instagram as well. Luis, you're on Instagram. We can find you also on Twitter as well. Luis Pinedo. You can find me on Twitter at John Rollins OCSC. Thank you for everybody who voted for the logo. We're going to go ahead and put that everywhere. So now you're going to see a bunch of changes from us coming up in the next week. Join us tomorrow for the Pride Pod, which is going to be 7:30. That's going to be a first episode ever. So kind of historical, Luis, if you think about how many episodes we've done now of this. Yeah. It's going to be the first ever Pride episode.
Yeah,
which excited. Is awesome. A couple last housekeeping things, some events that are going on soon. Or first thing is Orlando City just announced the Purple Pride 5K, which is part of the sort of preseason opening week events that they do. This one is on February 10th, so not quite opening week, but a little bit earlier than that. And so you go ahead and sign up online to join the Purple Pride 5K. Paul has done it. I will not do it because I hate running, so don't see me there. But other people will run. Good for them. And then the other thing is I'm going to be going to the ILF day. So ILF have a recruitment day. That's on the Saturday at 12 to 4. That's going to be interesting to go to. You don't have to be a member. You can go there just as a member of the public. If you're interested in joining ILF, it's one of the supporter groups. If you don't know who they are, but those are the guys over in the supporter section going crazy. You can go and join them and see what they're about. Just a promotion for them. So always like to help out our supporter groups where we can.
That's right.
And I'm a member of the ILF and we'll be signing up again to go. So maybe Paula will come out. I'm going to go out with a friend of mine and check out everything. They're going to have merch and booze and all that fun stuff. So come on out and join us. All right, everybody. It's been a really good show. Thank you to Luis. Thank you to Paula. I'm excited to do another episode tomorrow night for the Pride. But for now, it's the City Pod signing off. Vamos Orlando, guys.
Vamos Orlando, guys. Have a good one.